welcome to the Voice Mood. I'm your host, Olivia Peck, your local millennial voice teacher. Today I'm answering your singing questions, so if you have any questions about singing, pop on over into the chat and I'll do my best to answer. I've been a singing teacher for about 10 years now, so I love talking about singing. It never gets boring to me. Let me tell you, I truly love it. So let me know what you're wondering about singing. I have some questions from the week to go over, so I'll talk about those too. And let's get started with that, shall we? But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Just go ahead and ask it in the chat ski. Okay, here's the first one. This is from Kevin. Oh, it's too small. I can't read it. All right. He says, talking about the live last week, he likes that I'm doing them a little earlier. Okay. I got people from all over watching these. And so I really enjoy doing them at the lives at different times if I can to accommodate. Oh, yeah. What are y'all drinking? I'm drinking coffee. It's actually quite hot. It's like burning my hand off. Yay, you made it. Hello. Thank y'all for doing a little, what's it called? Roll call. Yeah, let us know if you're here. Hello, hello. All right, so Kevin says, really like the mixed voice videos you've been doing. It made me think about the feel and sound of it. I now can feel the vibrations and hear where chest voice, head voice are coming from. Is the following my mixed voice? He's about to describe his mixed voice, okay? So here we go. I sense and hear the sound coming from both my head and chest independently, but at the same time, like it's two amps playing out the same notes together through a mixing disc. Not sure if that's correct, but that's what I'm feeling. Be interested to know if that's correct thing or not. Wow, great little description here, Kevin. Thank you so much for asking that. I really like this comment because it brings up a point that we've talked about before. So, if we talk about chest voice, nice and low resonant, some people say their chest voice, they feel it literally in their chest. You can try it now. Put your hand on your chest and go, hey, if you're watching later. That's one way that I was taught, and a lot of people were taught that's your chest voice. Okay. Head voice is that ooh, 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 hooty sound. Think of like an owl hooting. Some people say the vibration is up here in their head. Ooh, ooh. I don't know if I can even say that I do. Ooh. But I had a teacher once say you can feel your voice travel as you sing higher. The vibration get higher. And that I relate to. I feel like that makes sense. But everybody describes it, the sensation of the different voices, differently. So when you're in your middle register, you're somewhere in the middle, or you're using a voice that's sort of a mixture of the two, which is a sort of untechnical way to talk about mixed voice, that in between voice, where it's got a little bit of the weight from our chest voice to speaking weight. It's a little more resonant, but it has the space and the stretch of our high head voice. So it's a little bit of a mixture in between. And everybody also describes that sensation differently. So it's not like there's one right or wrong way to describe your mix and how it feels, because everybody's different, right? Am I right? So I asked Kevin in my response, what does it sound like? Also, so you're feeling the sensation. I don't think it's right or wrong, but what does it sound like? Mixed voice tends to sound clear. It tends to sound pingy, and it should feel effortless. It should feel similar to talking, just higher. So if I were to talk way up here, it feels, but it's maybe a little bit more forward feeling, a little bit more vibration. Some people like saying the mask. So that's kind of how I would say it feels. Some people say they feel like a space back in the back of their throat. Ah. that makes sense to me, but everybody's kind of different. But how does it sound to you also? Okay, I hope that helped, Kevin, but that's a really good question and hard thing to describe, so thank you for doing that. Okay, here we go. Here's a little question here. Harsha asks, if I place my index finger and thumb lightly around my larynx while singing, how can I tell whether I'm straining or if my throat position is correct? Um, how does it feel again? So I I judge straining based on the sound and the feeling. So if you're singing and it's feeling pinched or pushed, that's straining. Okay. As far as like feeling it, that's not something I do. I don't feel it with with my thumb or anything like that. It's a sound and it's a feeling thing. Now, something to keep in mind, I'm not a doctor. Also, something I've realized over the years is sometimes the sensation is, oh my gosh, I'm straining. But if you're ill or your voice is really, really tired, you might be singing healthily, for a lack of better words, but you just might be tired and need to give your voice a rest. So that's something else to also consider. I hope that helps. But another thing is to listen to the sound. Does it sound pinched? If you can't tell while you are singing, because it's hard to kind of pay attention to you singing and how it sounds to ourselves, if that makes sense. So it helps to record yourself singing and go, does that sound strained? Does that sound pinched? Does it sound like you're in pain? Um, I mean, it takes some practice listening to people. Like there are times where people sound like they're in pain, but they're really not. You know, if you learn a little bit about how to manufacture grit and some rock or extreme sounds, you can make yourself sound like you're in pain. "Oh," but that didn't hurt at all. So you can learn how to do that too. So I'm looking for there's too much intensity. Like maybe you're making this sound, oh, but it's really way too loud. Like it's too much. That's when you know if you're straining. But that pinched sound, that might mean your larynx is crawling up. If that makes sense. Okay, good question. Love the questions. Thanks, guys. I got my coffee here. I'm getting caffeinated. Can you believe I haven't had any coffee yet today? That's actually insane. And that's why it's coffee time. Okay? That's insane. Also, yeah, ask your singing questions. I will blab on. I accidentally sprayed my face with makeup brush cleaner instead of setting spray. So then so we'll see what happens. I'm kind of scared. All right, great question so far today. Let's look at what the Facebook group said. If you're not in the Facebook group, I'm thinking of starting a Discord channel for us, and so we can talk more about singing, maybe do some more lives over there. Ooh, that would be cool. Yes. Here's what the poll was today. Hello, where is it? Okay. I said, I said, where are we at, guys? Currently learning new singing habits, trying to maintain a routine, or open to fresh singing tips. Where are you at? So this is a good thing to think about. Where you're at in your singing journey or your creative journey. Are you trying to solidify some habits um that you that you're learning still, or are you trying to maintain what you've already got going on? Maybe you're picking something up from the past. Maybe you did choir when you were younger, or you sang when you were younger and you're trying to revisit it, or maybe you're open to some new stuff. I love learning new things about singing every day. So I feel like I'm always in that box. I'm like, yes, tell me more. But there are certain things that I have to actively kind of practice and revisit, especially mixed voice, like doing little yeah, like noises and stuff. I'm always making little noises and things like that. Okay. Here's another little poll we did today on the channel. Um, okay. Do you want to learn more about reading music? Do you want to learn more about technique? And then we had 33% more about performing. Okay, so we can talk about that today. And vocal health. All right, good. So, in terms of health, vocal health, something that I always remind people is y'all make sure that you're resting your voice. So much of the time, people overuse their voice. They're speaking really loudly during the day. They don't realize, hey, your singing voice and your speaking voice are the same thing. Your body, it's your instrument. So monitor how much you're speaking, how loudly you're speaking. Are you shouting when you're speaking? Are you up super late? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting enough water? Water, being hydrated is very important for your voice. So make sure you're drinking a lot of water and make sure that you monitor your voice as you're practicing. How does it feel? It's very important to do that, but it gets overlooked. Okay, here's a little comment. Oh, goodness. I feel my throat being strangled. I don't know why you ever experienced that feeling. Goodness gracious. If you feel that when you're singing, then I would say not a great sensation. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard you sing, but yeah, that's a little, it's jarring. So maybe bring it back to speaking level. Okay. Do you feel that way when you speak? Probably not. So what are you doing when you sing that's so dramatic that you feel that squeeze? Okay. We don't really want to feel that much in our throat when we sing. We want to feel free. Sometimes you might feel a little vibration in your throat, but not necessarily um, that much squeeze or even a lot of sensation in our throat. It feels kind of like nothing, kind of like when you're talking. So really use your speaking voice as a baseline. All right. Good questions. Yes, ask your questions. Pop on in. Let me know what you're wondering. Of course, since I can't hear you, I always recommend uh, voice lessons, which I have a lot of openings today on Wednesdays. So let me know. A lot, meaning, a few, okay, a couple, but reach out to me on my website, oliviapeck.com. There are other days as well that I do teach, but Wednesdays are most open. But yeah, let me know and we'll find a time that works for you. And yeah, good questions, everybody. Yeah, we do this every week so make sure you're subscribed. Okay, let's talk about the other thing that was on here. So learning more about performing. So when you're performing, there's a lot of things we need to think about, right? So stage presence, where you're looking. I was taught to look at the back of the auditorium towards the exit sign. Okay, so having a good eye line is part of performing, knowing where you're going to look, making sure your movements are purposeful and you're not just wandering around. If you're singing, it's kind of more convenient because you have a microphone. You got to stay with the microphone. You can hold the microphone. You can take the microphone out. You can walk this way. You can walk that way. There you go. There's a little bit of movement for you. But as far as other performing things, facial expressions. I was just talking about this with someone today. Expressing yourself. Sometimes that just means a little more energy, okay? Sing it like you mean it. Think about the lyrics. If you struggle with performance anxiety, the best way to get through that is to do it as much as you can. So it doesn't feel like this rare, scary experience. it's more of a common thing. You've done it a million times and you can put yourself out there. Everything, not everything. Some people they put themselves out there, they're fine, but usually when you try something new, no matter what it is, it feels kind of scary the first time. So, you know, fighting through that fear and it can be really difficult to do that. Very difficult. That's why most people don't. I mean, think about it. How many people are out posting themselves singing or performing? Yeah, sure, you see it, but it's not every person you know. It takes a lot of courage. So pushing past that fear is really important sometimes, and it's important to your growth. Your growth. So, anyway, if you have any questions about performing, I'd love to talk about it. It's a great topic as well. Yes, so we were talking a little bit about mixed voice with Kevin's question. I love to talk about that and exercises. The thing is, every voice is different. So different exercises bring out different things in people, but tried and true ones like the meow meow meows or the wow will bring out mixed voice. As far as chest voice goes, that's a really important part of your voice that can get overlooked because we all think, oh, it's low, it's easy. When you are singing a song and you are dipping into your low range, it's easy to just sing it and not give it much chutzpah. But if I'm singing like, I think I did that song last week, but okay, let's say Star Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see? If I were to go, oh, say, can you see? Without much punch in the low range, that's fine. But if you want to change it up, see what happens when you give those lower notes a little bit more resonance. Oh, say, can you see? That's another thing you can do to change things up. We don't often give low notes a lot of play because it's all about expand your range, sing high, belting, and all that stuff. And that's really great too. But see what you can do in your low range. See what kind of energy you can bring to it, and it might open up your voice a little bit. All right. Also, do you hold back? Think about it. Do you hold back when you sing? There's plenty of times I say, hey, like, let's dial it back, let's lower the intensity. But some people are holding back, especially if you're living in an apartment or living with your family and you don't want them to hear you. You might hold back, and that can cause a little bit of unnecessary tension, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. So if you have any tension, let me know, sound off if that's something you struggle with, and it'll make others feel less alone. Yes, thank you for being here. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here for you, going live almost every week. Also, if you want to join the Facebook group, there's a link for that, or voice lessons links for that. But yeah, we're talking about singing today, and so some really good topics at hand. Let's talk about let's talk about here's Minty. She's got a question. She says, how do you get light, unpushed notes in high head voice? Yes, I have asked you this in lesson, but I have a goldfish memory. You have a great memory. Okay, let's see. Unpushed high notes in head voice. So think about that sensation of oh, oh, oh. Okay, if you can make that sound, if you can make a high note, you're halfway there, okay? You're halfway there. So just make the note, hum up to it, lip trill up to it, open up on it, and just make sure that once you get there, you don't then start pushing like, okay, now I'm there. Now I'm going to project, or now I'm going to just let the note kind of tumble out. And then create the space. Make sure the space is there. So the soft palate's lifted, it's a rounder shape. Oh, the jaw's relaxed, the tongue is relaxed and not like too far back. So that's the way to do it. Getting really comfortable with lip trills like ooh or and then sirens. Ooh, and making sure your breath is engaged. That's something that sometimes I forget to say. I really shouldn't, though. The breath is really important. If you are really using your breath for that head voice, I'm really engaging my abdominals. I'm not like squeezing per se, but I'm using them. I'm using them to get that air flowing, as they say. So that's what I would do. Direct your attention to the low stuff. So your abdominal muscles, making sure they're engaged when you're singing. And again, this is another thing that people describe the sensation differently. The way I think about it and what works for me is to think about a string on the inside of my belly button, kind of pulling towards my spine. Okay. So gently, not like a crunch, but like a gentle pull. We talk about the cool stuff over here. Just saying. Pretty fun. So that's what I think about. And it's gentle. It's gentle. Now, you can play around with the size of breath too, because when you take a nice big breath, that also makes head voice easier, because that's the type of breathing that makes sense for singing in a high head voice. Not so much mixed voice. That's not as, you don't want as big of a breath for that. So, okay, to sum it up, nice breath, perhaps larger than usual. Okay. Round shape. So on the inside, tall, round shape. Engage the breath gently, but engage it. And make sure you don't push once you get there, or push to get up there. So, like, it's easy to do that. Oh, say, can you see? Like, by the dawns. Or I don't need, that's not a good example, but we get excited. We get excited. Try not to get too excited. Just make sure you hit the note. Doesn't have to be loud. Now, was saying it doesn't have to be loud. Also, you don't want to hold back. Kind of like what I was saying earlier. It doesn't function very well when you're holding in that type of singing. So hopefully that helps. So if you take a larger breath, are you only letting a little out? Good question. So it depends on what you're singing, kind of, and the phrase, and like like what's going on. Like, let's say I'm singing okay, I'm letting it out pretty like regularly. It's, I don't know how to describe it. I'm using it, I'm breathing, and I'm using it. I'm using all of it. I'm not like holding any in. Like mixed voice feels very much like you really have to manage the breath in a different way, where you're kind of like playing with breath lightly and letting, kind of like a balloon. It feels like sometimes letting a air out of a balloon, kind of. Whereas more open, like head voice, you are like using it a little bit more, and it takes a little bit more muscle down here, I guess. I feel like I possibly could say something that it would be make it more confusing, but I hope that makes sense. Now, if I'm doing a phrase like just a quick like note, like ooh, wah, something like that. Ooh, wah. Still, I would say it's letting more out than in other types of other places in my range, where like I might go, if I went ooh, wah, in mixed voice, it would be almost holding back air, not using all of it. But head voice, you're kind of letting more out. But you're still managing it. You're still managing it down here in a similar way. It's just a little different. So I'm going to play around with. These are very good questions. Okay, let's see what Jessica. Let me know if that helps. Let's see what Jessica 24 says. After we carry a good pitch and tone, do we simply open the back of the throat to learn vibrato and exercise it? Oh, good question. So, when you're learning vibrato, I always say, like, it comes when you're relaxed, like muscularly. What is that word? When your muscles are relaxed, your soft palate's lifted, you're creating a round space. You're using your breath. Yes. So in a sense, I really like your comment cuz yeah, once you get the pitch, you have a nice tone, a nice free tone, the vibrato should come. Doing things like hung ah, that type of exercise, hung ah, try it on different tones. That will help possibly bring out some vibrato. Try different vowels. He, hey, ah, oh. Try ahs, ohs especially. But sometimes people find that a nice E vowel relaxes their tongue and their vibrato comes out. E. I'm used to doing it at this point quite a bit, but I can tell you what it feels like as my soft palate's lifted. There is some space. Now, opening the back of the throat can be misconstrued, but it's said a lot. So you're not wrong in saying that at all. But just be careful you don't open too much, like, oh, you hear people make that noise. Oh, you don't want to. If it feels like, oh my gosh, my throat is open. Okay, it's too open. Then just think about lifting the soft palate. Oh, and that should be good. That should be good. The trick is keeping the soft palate lifted. Like a lot of the times people will go, I didn't think of a song. I can't believe what they said to me last night. You feel that. Okay, and then it drops. So you have to keep it lifted. I can't believe what you said to me last night. You have to keep it lifted the whole time, the whole note, the whole phrase, so it doesn't droop down and then now the vibrato isn't going to come out and the tone's going to droop a little bit, if that makes sense. Hope that helps, Jessica. But let us know. Let us know what y'all are thinking. I'm wondering how everybody's doing out there with their singing goals and hoping it's a good day for you. It is here. It's kind of warm, but it's good. Yeah. I love hearing what's going on. Okay, Minty says, "Yeah, that helps. Really high notes you can do sound so light and floaty. It's so pretty. Thanks. I am determined to sort out how to get my voice to do that. I know. I'll never forget when I was in college and I was studying classical singing and I was an undergrad and I remember hearing the master's students and they had this extra thing about their voices. It just sounded clearer, it sounded floatier. And I'm not saying that's where I am now, but I understand the frustration of like, okay, but why isn't it as open, when I sing? And it does come, okay? uh but it can just take a little bit of relaxing, I think, relaxing into it and having the space and being able to maintain the space and manipulate the breath. Oh, here's a good comment. You look different. Thank you. No, I have a video. I'm shooting a video later and I accidentally sprayed my face with this like makeup brush cleaner. So I'm doing my best, but yeah, I might look crazy today. Anyway, thanks for the comment. Yeah, whatever y'all are wondering about singing, let me know. Want to know what your thoughts are. It's been a good week in the studio, busy the last couple of weeks. A lot of singer-songwriter stuff. So if you're wondering about writing your own songs, that comes up sometimes. And talking a lot about like learning music, piano, jazz has come up with a few students. So if you're interested in jazz, that's really great. Jazz can teach you a lot about music, and if you've ever struggled with learning music through classical styles, like um, learning to read music through classical piano pieces, jazz might be a nice way to mix things up and to learn via jazz. Let me know if you're wondering about that. I love to talk about that stuff too. Okay, so what's over pushing the breath when singing? So I'm assuming you're talking about just breath control, maybe. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but over pushing the breath. So sometimes when we sing, it's easy to use too much push with the breath. So if I were to go, and usually it manifests in volume and sounding pushed, or using too much speed in your airflow, as opposed to letting the air gently uh, get used through a phrase. So if you kind of use too much air right away, like I just did when I was speaking, then it might sound like that. It might sound too intense. It might sound airy. It might sound like things are kind of not vibrating the way we need them to. So, a good way to practice that is lip trills. I always talk about lip trills, humming, SOVT exercises are really great for that. To know just how much air you need to get those notes throughout your range. So, a lot of the times people aren't using enough air, or they're using too much air, or they need to manage the breath better. So good way to teach yourself to do that is to sing with a straw and to sing on a lip trill, or sing by humming. Now, here's the caveat about that. Sometimes people do this though. They'll sing, but they'll use a straw, and they'll do like hear how it's all choppy like that? You want to train yourself to connect it. So oh, say, can you see? As opposed to, because I'm not going to sing it like this. Oh, say, can you? All choppy. So this teaches you to use your breath, take your breath, figure out what size of a breath you need for the phrase, and how to manage it with your low muscles. I say low muscles because there's a lot going on. I can't just say abdominals. But I do often. So that's one way. Or to use your lip trills too. A lot of times if you can't do a lip trill, sometimes it's just, we're all built differently, but sometimes it's because just not enough air. Just not enough air. Going. So that's another way to train the breath. Good question. I love talking about breath. It gets a little hairy, it gets confusing. Yeah, okay. Will you make a video about belting? So that's a good question. I have a series or a playlist on my YouTube channel called Mixed Voice videos or something like that. It's Mixed Voice. I'll link it when I do my timestamps. I'll link it in the comments, but that would be the one to watch. Because it or the playlist to check out. It has like how to do mixed voice, songs to access your mixed voice. Because it does touch on belting. Belting is just baked into that mixed voice conversation. And there's one on rock music too. But I will say that people define belting differently depending on who they are, who's talking, and really who's singing. Because depending on if you have a light voice or a medium voice or a heavy voice, belting can look differently depending on who you are. So for me, if I'm belting this note, that is too high for me to use a super chesty belt with a lot of intensity. So for me, I have to find a whiny quality, which most people do, but especially lighter voices like mine. So I have to go like, well, meow, meow, and that's how I would find that belt in my range. But for a heavier voice, they might be able to go, and like more full voice on that note. Just depends on what type of voice you are, what type of range you have, and that's why it's per person. But the sound across the board is what they call chest dominant sound, and it's generally more clear. You hear it more in pop rock musical theater and not quite so much in like if I were to sing that note but not belt it, it would be more head voice. My head voice was still involved in my belt, but it's mixed in. It's mixed into that more chest dominant register as well. Chest register as well. I wish I had a heavier voice. LOL. You're not alone. There are different things you can do to make your voice sound more how you want it to. You can also, like, if I really want to sound heavier when I sing, sound like I have a heavier voice, I can move a song lower sometimes or higher. It's finding the money zones. Typically, singers have a couple of money zones in their voice. Just spilled. Gosh, this is too full. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I spilled coffee. It's just a little bit, but geez Louise, and I'm supposed to wear this all day. Anyway, that's what I do. I move the song down or something like that. And that'll give because that's why Lady Gaga songs are great. If you're a more soprano voice, but you want to find some weight in your voice, Lady Gaga is great for that because they're lower songs usually. Here's a good question. All right. Let's see. Minty says, "Do you have any students trying to sing Golden K-pop Demon Hunters right now? It's calling to my soul, but it seems so hard and I have too much. I'm already trying to learn first. You're the one. You're going to learn it." I think you could do it. I think you could do it. Yes. No one else has tried it yet. I actually almost I want to do like a reaction to that video or that song because I've heard about it, but I haven't even really heard the song yet fully. So I think you should try it. I think you can do it based on what I know about it. But that one is really fun. Golden. Who else is saying that? If you're watching later, let us know if you've attempted. I've heard one of my other students did tell me that I need to watch it, and she told me that repeatedly. And she keeps asking me if I've watched it, but I don't have Netflix. But I could go to the movies. Jeff and I love to go see what's playing at the movies. Like old people. We love to see what's playing at the movies and we'll go like once in a while. Yes, I need to see it though. Anyway, good question. Good questione. Anybody else wondering anything? I'm just sitting here with my coffee that I spilled, answering your questions. Loves it. Yeah, good week in the studio. What else is going on? We're talking about performing today, mixed voice. I emphasized learning chest voice. We talked about all the voices today, head voice too, singing in high head voice. You know, a lot of people want to sing in their mix. They want to figure out how to belt with their mixed voice, but tell you the truth, a lot of people that learn how to do that and then they'll miss head voice. They will. Head voice is a wonderful thing to be able to do throughout your range. So being able to sing in a light, ah, doing sirens like woo, woo is good for head voice. And I often say that head voice is easier, but sometimes it can get tiring, just like anything else. Just like anytime you use your voice is going to, you know, be it's a almost athletic activity, so it can be tiring no matter what type of singing you're doing. All right, so Minty B says, "Thank you. Add it to my list. We'll see if I can handle it." She's talking about the Golden by Demon Hunters K-pop. Seems surprising no one is singing it with you yet. I know. I do have mostly beginning singers and those everybody's got a very specific genre they're looking at, it seems like. Seems surprising, but it is surprising. It's been so greatly discussed amongst the YouTube vocal coaches. I have to do a video on this. I have to do a video on this. This would be interesting. Yes, I do consume YouTube, but I haven't seen that yet. Okay, do you have a favorite singer? Ooh, that's a hard question. I've always said Lady Gaga because I love her. I love her as a person. And I really like Chapel Roan right now. I really like her voice. I like all the different voices she does. It's so fun. And I loved John Mayer was one of my favorite. He had my favorite album. I like Harry Styles. I love Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald was like my first like singer, like vocal love. Like I loved her voice so much. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Celine Dion and I wanted to sing exactly like her. Which is funny because now I would not want to sing like her because it's not really my style, but I was obsessed with Celine Dion when I was a kid. How about y'all? They say that. Oh, I love Adele too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, who do you guys like to listen to? I want to know. I want to hear because one of my favorite artists right now I found just from being online and Role Models new album. I talk about them a lot. So great. There's some great artists out there right now. There's so much out there, but there's some really incredible voices like Ariana Grande. Hello. She's like one of the greatest voices of all time, I think. She's incredible. So, and Cynthia Erivo, both of them, just amazing voices. So cool. Yeah. Yeah, I love those big voices though too. Amy Winehouse, she's just like legendary. Yeah, good question. They say that whatever you were listening to between ages 16 and 20, one of my students told me this the other day. She like sent me an article is like the most impressionable time for you to listen to music. So that's typically where people feel the most connected to music, I guess, or throughout their life. That's the time where it makes the biggest impression, for lack of better words. I'm definitely not recalling the article perfectly, but check it out. It's kind of cool. So, whatever you're listening to, 16 through 20, might be pretty insightful for learning, about your interests as a singer and maybe what's influenced you and what's impacted you. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, if you want to join the studio, let me know. Well, thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, I'm still here for a little bit longer, so you can ask me anything that's on your mind regarding singing or whatever about performing music, learning music. I've had people ask me about learning music before on here, and I'm still figuring out how to go about doing like a music lesson YouTube video. But I use this book all the time. I'll show you. And I always talk about it, but I will talk about it again. The Full Voice Workbook series. It's so good. It's genuinely very good. Like, I love doing these little exercises with all ages. It's really great, especially if you can't play instruments. It's a little better with a coach. Like, if you want to study with me and you're like, let's go through music theory, this is what I would probably use. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here's Minty B loves Gaga. And yeah, oh my gosh. So if you've seen Lady Gaga live, let us know. On that topic, why does live music make me I don't know. Sob. I don't know. No, I can't. I feel you. So I I cry when I hear a lot of music in general, so that makes sense to me. It's very emotional. Oh my gosh, and of course Gaga. Like, if I ever saw her live, I don't even know what I would do. Yes, so that makes sense. Understood. Yeah, Gaga, there's this band I'm obsessed with called Alasdair Froster and Natalie Haas. They're just a Celtic duo that I heard in college, and I'm obsessed with them. There's no singing or anything, but I mean, I've been obsessed with them forever, and it's nothing too crazy. It's just them playing, Scottish music, but yeah, just certain things will really get you emotional. I can't tell you how many times in a first lesson a new singer will just be brought to tears when they sing or they're talking about singing because it's emotional. It's very connected to us as people. It's vulnerable, and that's why I take this craft into my hands with the great delicateness. What am I saying? I'm very delicate with it. I take it very seriously because I'm like, no, this is serious. This is part of your life. Anyway, that's an insane thing to say. Have you ever done opera? Yes, that's where I started. I laugh because that's what I started with was opera. Good times, good times. It really was. But where I'm from, like the only real option was to sing opera. It was just that's what was available. In fact, I had a lot of teachers say, like, I wanted to sing like Lady Gaga. Trust me. I did, but I had a lot of teachers say when I was younger, okay, well, you have to learn classical music. You have to learn this because the other stuff they said, the pop stuff, the rock stuff was yelling. That's what they said. I know now that it's not, but there used to be a really big stigma against belting. And when you're brought up in a classical environment like that, yeah, there's still people who will say stuff like that, like opera is true singing, and which is fine. I think it's wonderful. I still sing little all the time, but I don't pursue opera. Yeah, I did a program in Italy for it, and that's what we studied in school. But jazz, bringing that up again, jazz was where I was able to kind of experience different types of singing and able to sing kind of what I wanted and learn different types of music theory and stuff. So, love talking about that. Love talking about that. But yeah, yes, lots of Mozart in my days. The magic flute is fun. It's fun. If you're gonna watch, I think it's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Maybe not. That's not true. But there's clips and stuff. So I like the magic flute. There's some really off the wall operas out there. Oh my gosh. Really off the wall. The thing that classical music will teach you though, y'all, is the correct vowels. I learned like IPA, which I still use to this day as an actor. So the International Phonetic Alphabet and how to learn how to speak with different accents through that. That's what I use it for now, but it was originally so you could learn how to sing with the proper pronunciation, French, German, Italian, Latin, lot of that. Not a lot of variety, just kind of those, honestly. Um, and even English, like learning the vowel modifications, that's all something that comes from the classical background that I now use to train more modern styles. So it's kind of funny. I love jazz. I love how free it is. There are not many rules you have to follow. Yeah, jazz is fun, it's so different from classical. It breaks a lot of the classical rules, and there's just a totally different set of guidelines, which I really like. And my jazz teacher used to say, "Find your key, find your key, find your key." He would say that like every week to me, and it was just that like validation that you're great just the way you are. Your voice is, it was more about less about technique, and it was more about the notes and singing the right notes and using your voice. This brings up a really good point that was brought up last week in a comment, where it was like, I don't want to sound like everything out there right now, that everything's so auto-tuned now and just too polished. Like, I want to hear people make little mistakes and nuances. That's where I think there's still that in jazz. That's still valued highly in jazz. When you listen to even a jazz recording, that's not that old, okay? You can hear some more of those imperfections, I think. It's valued a little bit more, and it's a little bit more raw than mainstream, I guess, pop and stuff. So there's plenty of place for that in jazz, I think, because it's more about the feeling and less about trying to create this polished, perfect thing. It's just two different art forms, and I respect both very much. But yeah, scatting is very fun. Oh my gosh, I was just talking this morning to a student about improvising, and there's some great ways to practice improvising. If so, if anybody's ever wondering about that, you can ask me. But um if you can, good grief, I'm a mess. Okay, so if you know how to play piano chords, that's the way to do it. You play your chords and then you improvise over them, and that's a good way to develop your ear, your improvisation, scatting, and focusing on the scales. So if you can learn your scales, that's really great. But vocal warm-ups are not typically, they're based on scales. So if you are doing your warm-ups pretty regularly, you're not just training your voice and your agility and all that stuff, you're also training your ear, and you're opening that window to improvising as well. So sometimes I'll have fun during warm-ups with students who are interested in improvising, and I'll tell them, "Hey, do this scale, but do the rhythm differently." So instead of da 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 da, ba da 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 da, that kind of thing. There's so many ways you can play around with it. Very fun, very fun. And that doesn't take a whole lot of anything, a lot of equipment, or just playing around. Oh, here's a good question. I feel like my lower voice works better when I include deep in my chest rather than trying to get a tone in my voice with extra air. Of course, it takes careful training, I'm sure. Yeah, so when you're singing, and I haven't heard you, Jessica, but if you feel like your voice works more when you are putting more resonance, more chest in it, more of that low vibrations in your voice, if you feel that way, then maybe as you get higher, you are adding more air, letting too much air escape as you move higher. It might just be like, I hear a lot of people when they sing, I'm not saying you because I haven't heard you, but a lot of people when they sing, as they sing higher, they add sort of a whispery quality. So they'll be like, "Oh, say, can you see?" And what that really is just tension. and whispering, and it's like kind of manufacturing a head voice sound or a high voice sound, when really you can just go, oh, say, can you see? Think about it like talking high. See. And then if you want a more round sound, see. Kind of relax this jaw, tongue, and lift the soft palate a little bit, if that makes sense. So that could be what's going on, but I don't know because I haven't heard you. But that's what I would think about. Okay, guys. Hope that helps. If anybody has any other questions, I'm probably going to jump off soon. But I really enjoyed this. This is very wonderful. I hope y'all got something out of it too. Here's a good question. I'm trying to find vibrato these days, but there's no sign. LOL. Any tips? So I did make a video on that, but and I talk about it earlier in the stream as well. So go back to that maybe, but I'll just say doing slides like oh or hung or finding vowels where they're open and easy for you. So oh oh oh. Sometimes it helps to give yourself like a little breath boost by going like ha 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 he 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 he. But doing a sustained note on a nice open vowel where it's taller, the tongue is a little bit more relaxed, soft palate is lifted, and you're using your air, it should come right out. If you're singing super duper high or super duper low, weird place you're not very comfortable in your range, it might be harder to find vibrato. So find a more comfortable note first, maybe upper middle part of your range, and that would be what I would recommend for that. And singing songs where there's vibrato in it, like Michael Bublé songs, he has some vibrato, Josh Groban, that might help to kind of listen to it and see if you can pick up any vowel shapes from that or anything from that. Sometimes that works. Maybe I was thinking that it sounds better when my voice vibrates deeper or stronger into my chest. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Sometimes yeah. Sometimes our lower voice sounds clearer, it sounds stronger, it sounds beefier. Um, and so that could be the case. That could be the case. And more volume, yes. So the thing that I would do in your case is see if you can smooth that out a little bit more in your high voice. In a more neutral speaky volume, speaky placement. And that might help even out and bring some of that weight healthily up top, but it takes a little practice. That's where the meow, meow, meows, meow, 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 meow are great because they cut through. And it feels very different from the chest sound, but it's a way to kind of marry the high voice and the low voice and keep that volume or keep that cutting through quality that the lower voice seems to have, if that makes sense. That's like the purpose of the mixed voice stuff, is all I'm trying to say, is to try to bridge that high and low range and keep the strength of it. But sometimes it's just without hearing you, it could also just be like your voice is lighter and you're trying to figure out, how to navigate that, and song choices come into play and all kinds of stuff. So good topic, definitely. All right, y'all. Well, I think I'm going to call it, but thank y'all for dropping in, asking your questions. Love hearing what you're wondering. If you have any video ideas, I always love to hear those. And if you're watching at a later time, I'm really happy to see you here as well. And you can always leave a comment. I'll answer it on the next live. which will probably be next Wednesday. Or if you have any burning questions, you can book a lesson with me on oliviapeck.com. I have a few spots open in my studio, so I would love to meet you and help you with your voice. Thank you, Queen. All right. Bye, y'all. This is really fun. Okay. Have a good rest of your day. Take care of yourself. Bye.